This is my first time jogging after the flight. So I tried to jog barefoot on the grass. It's very healthy.
Mikhail Kornienko returned to Earth in March 2016. Today, we will tell you what the cosmonaut managed to do in the past months and what he intends to do next.
I'm not going to lie on a couch and hope no one will disturb me.
You will find out what has changed on the ISS in these 6 months, and you will see exclusive footage, as always in our television project, shot by Mikhail Kornienko himself and his fellow cosmonauts. Our scientific program, 90 days after the flight, is completed. We are returning the cosmonaut safe and sound. Saturday, the end of July. It's the 150th day after the flight. Mikhail Kornienko has a day off. It begins, however, like any other day of the cosmonaut, with morning exercises. Mikhail Borisovich is in great shape as always. For those months that have passed since the return from space, Mikhail Kornienko, of course, has become accustomed to everything earthly. He can clearly see the difference between home and work. But a cosmonaut is not just a profession, it's a special condition when you always want to fly. Greetings to the viewers of the TV channel Science 2.0 from the International Space Station. My name is Oleg Skripechka. I am a flight engineer of the 48th expedition to the ISS. This is my second flight into space. Since my colleague cosmonaut Mikhail Borisovich Kornienko completed his annual flight and returned to Earth, here at the station something has changed. And now we'll tell you about it. I want to show you the very room in which Mikhail Kornienko lived. You probably remember how it looked then, during Mikhail's annual expedition. But now everything is different here. Now I live in it, with Alexei Ovchinin. And I'll show you what the room looks like now. Now there is an icon, embroidered by my wife. She is fond of embroidery, and I took this image. It reminds me of my wife, of home. I also have this soft toy, an owl. This is my daughter's toy, and she kindly agreed to let me borrow it for the spaceflight time. When we started from Earth, this toy was an indicator of zero gravity in the ship. Just here in the cabin, I have letters from relatives and friends that they wrote to me before the flight. They were handed over and I read them after I arrived here, to the International Space Station. But anyway, some things which belong to Mikhail Kornienko are still here. At the top of the cabin, there is a small handmade Christmas tree, which Mikhail made for New Year, and small Christmas toys. When you wake up in the morning, you see this green piece of nature. You immediately have a smile on your face, and you feel great. For those months that have passed since the completion of the annual expedition, several crews have changed on the ISS, and the station itself has become a bit larger. Now you will see the most important change that happened at our station since the moment Mikhail Borisovich returned to Earth. This is a new module of the ISS. It is called Beam. This is an inflatable module. It was delivered to the station by the cargo ship Dragon in the spring. The new modules have been brought to the International Space Station since 2010. Beam is an experimental module. Time will show if it's possible to use such structures continuously in orbit. Beam will stay on the ISS for 2 years. Several crews are to assess its reliability and the prospect of using it in the aggressive conditions of space. We were watching how the procedure of its unfolding and actually inflating took place. It was, of course, very interesting and unusual. After all, similar constructions had never been to space before. Compared with the volume that was when the module was delivered to the ISS, it increased by almost 5 times. Its volume is 16 cubic meters. It seems not so much, but here at the station, where every extra centimeter of space is valued, it's quite a lot. If it successfully passes this test by space and time, in the future, such modules will be used in the construction of stations on other planets or on the moon. Indeed, thanks to such an inflatable design, it is easier to deliver them into space. Hey, everybody. I saw you on TV. Hi. That's it, sit down. How are you feeling? Don't even think I feel bad. Everything is all right. Hello, Anna. Good afternoon, were you walking? Sort of. I'm going to do this again. When the testing of the new module began on the ISS, Mikhail Kornienko only returned to the Star City from the sanatorium where the post-flight rehabilitation of cosmonauts is taking place. Well, in general, this is quite a busy time too. Strangely enough, it is post-flight rehabilitation. It's experiments, first of all, medicine and so on. And then do not forget that for a year, I've accumulated a lot of tasks at home that I need to do. Now I'm trying to find some time in order to do these tasks. There are going to be further trips. They are planned already. I'm leaving tomorrow to Samara, arrive in a day, then fly to Houston. And this kind of whirlwind goes on. So, I always have some flights. I've never actually had free time so that I could lie down on a sofa and nobody would disturb me. It's never happened. For the first time after landing, Mikhail Kornienko is in the simulators room of the Russian segment of the ISS. Here, during the preparation for the annual flight to the space station, he spent many days training. Just as it used to be. SO, MRM-1, MRM-2. There is a proposed node module that they are going to launch. That is, I do not see any specific changes. Well, there's a mixed feeling and a little nostalgia. And as if I'm going to the station again, and I've just recently returned from it. The annual flight is not the end of the space career. Mikhail Kornienko hopes to fly to the ISS at least once more. The long expedition did not discourage his desire to work away from Earth. Rather, it's vice versa. The first flight is still not enough. Yes, in 2 flights, you already become a professional. Well, a year flight, it doubles, I think. Yeah. And when you do the work that you succeed in, which benefits you, of course, it brings pleasure. It brings some sort of dedication. Yeah, satisfaction, let's say. If you could rewind 2 years earlier when you were offered an annual flight, would you agree without any doubts? Well, yes, I would. If you approach someone and say, "Flight, ready?" and 99.9% will answer you, "When?" Yes. If we say it's for a year, then many will think about it, because it is far from easy, and for various reasons. Open air is the most important. It's good for health. They came up with a good idea. So here I do a warm-up, jogging, and then go to the gym. Anyway, open air is open air. It's fine.
So, well, I'm going to jog. This is your first time out on the track, isn't it? This is my first time jogging after the flight. So I tried to jog barefoot on the grass. It's very healthy. Why first? It seems that 2 months have passed. But my knees require a very careful attitude after a long period of weightlessness. And I gave the joints some time to get back to normal. Because the last time I had problems, when I started doing exercises immediately after the flight, I began to jog and I started having problems with the joints. Now, here I'm accurate with this grass, earth. This is energy. The earth gives me energy. Well, I tried to jog for about 4 kilometers at least. So when I'm back to normal, it's better to be 5. Then I go swimming. The next day I ride a bicycle, lift dumbbells in the gym. Again, I go swimming. But swimming is a part of the daily routine. Swimming is Mikhail Kornienko's favorite sport. The cosmonaut missed it very much during the long expedition. The next day after the landing, Mikhail Borisovich went to the pool in Star City. Here, the entire cosmonaut detachment is engaged not only in swimming, but also in diving. They jump with their feet down off a 5-meter height. It's a vertical fall. Hands are stretched, feet down. Then, when it's 3 meters, the head goes down. Vertical jump. And when it's 1 meter, they do backflips and forward. This is done to develop the vestibular apparatus and coordinate the movement in free fall. An American astronaut, Scott Kelly, who also lived and worked on the International Space Station for almost a year, shortly after the flight, announced his retirement.
You know, at some point in our lives, we have to decide whether we're going to do other things. And I'm committed to doing the post-flight medical experiments and debriefs for at least 9 months. And I'll continue to do that. It was just me not being a government employee at the same time. Just gives me the opportunity to do some other things and take advantage of some opportunities that exist. So,
at home in the United States after the annual expedition, he was greeted as a national hero. And this is understandable, because in the history of Soviet-Russian cosmonauts, if there were long expeditions, Scott Kelly was the first American to have lived in space for 11 months without a break.
Scott, get out of here, but before we do, one quick thing I wanted to say, Scott, on behalf of all of us in your team, welcome home. I want to thank your entire family and your friends who have been supporting you, who've been through this, made special sacrifices. I think all of you heard Scott talk about the fact that his flight was another step on the journey to Mars, and he has done an incredible job. People love you. They love everything you've done. So on behalf of all of us, welcome back.
3 months after landing, Houston, our American friends are looking at the results of the main experiments. And 2 Russian doctors are doing the same. This is the second post-flight session. Yes, this is the second post-flight session. Yeah, and I'm actually glad to participate in it. Because this is the soil. Not too tight? Is it okay? Yes, it's fine. This is good, useful work for cosmonautics, for further development of long flights. Several more sessions are ahead of us. Oh, 180 and 360. Yes, the days after landing. This is September and March 2017. NASA Space Center. Mikhail Kornienko came here specially for a planned survey and participation in the ground phase of the experiment, which began before the annual flight to the station and continued on the ISS during the whole expedition. Misha, you're doing well. Well done. Good, Mikhail Borisovich. The results of one of the experiments in which Mikhail Kornienko and Scott Kelly participated may help to understand why the sight of some astronauts deteriorates after a long flight. One of the hypotheses explains that these unfavorable changes occur due to different ways of liquids moving in the body on Earth and in space. In weightlessness, due to the influx of blood to the upper body, intracranial pressure can increase, especially with physical exertion and prolonged work. The difference between intracranial and intraocular pressure increases, causing the deformation of the eyeball. According to NASA observations, 30% of astronauts participating in long space flights had such problems. At first, it will be tight, but only at first. Then it becomes easier when we turn it over. Studies on the scientific program of the annual expedition are still going on. It is very important for scientists to know how cosmonauts feel in different moments of post-flight rehabilitation. This will help in the preparation for future, even longer flights into space. Done! Cheers! Our scientific program 90 days after the flight is completed. We are returning the cosmonaut safe and sound. Previous experience has an effect. It's visible. I started feeling better much earlier. That's paradoxical, isn't it? I had a flight which was 2 times longer, but I perked up. Well, sorry for the slang. I recovered more quickly. I immediately began to swim, so I swam 600 meters the first day. The second day it was 1 kilometer, and then I started swimming for 2 kilometers. I was in a bathhouse 2 days later. I landed on March 2 and went to the bathhouse on March 4. It's like I pre-programmed myself in advance and everything turned out to be okay. Mikhail Kornienko is sure one of the reasons for the rapid recovery after a long flight was regular exercises at the space station. The life of an astronaut is generally an eternal preparation. For example, on the ISS, there was preparation for the forthcoming return to Earth. And here, on the native planet, it is for the next orbital expedition. Everyone has their own path. I like flying. I feel that I've made a contribution. I've been to space 2 times, although the second time can be counted as 2. But you've got to participate in launching 3 times. But this is such a peculiarity. You don't have to take it into account. But I think scientists will be interested. So I was in space for a year, yes. And what will happen to me next? Well, like in 6 months. So I heard the annual flight is still being planned. Maybe I'll take another year. I don't want others to think I'm a madman. Yes, I understand that this is, well, that it's very hard, yes. But this is my job. That's what I like. Sometimes it's hard in a flight. You don't want anything at all. But you understand that you are making a contribution. Yeah, they will collect data from you, and it will be easier for other people to go. Yeah, that's what gives strength. You probably noticed that when you watch videos shot on the ISS, there is music or radio on the background that we love a lot. This is very helpful here, far from Earth, from home, from relatives. And without music, it would probably be much more difficult for us. And for many years now, this musical instrument has been at our station. This guitar, though it's not very often used, helps us with it. Familiar, earthly, native sounds. Some cosmonauts are good at playing. Some know 3 chords. But in space, this is enough to cheer us up. Sing something together. The guitar was brought to the station in August 2001 by the members of the 3rd expedition to the ISS, Frank Culbertson, Vladimir Dezhurov, and Mikhail Churin. By the way, Mikhail Borisovich Kornienko, during the flight, sometimes took the instrument in his hands and played something too. I won't even try now. It will be embarrassing. I could at the station. The listeners were grateful there. La and mi, yeah, and then la. Well, kind of, yes. There are 3 chords. Cool. Together with our film crew, a poet and musician, Herbert Morales, the son of a Cuban revolutionary, Leopoldo Morales, a comrade in arms of Che Guevara, came to visit Mikhail Kornienko's dacha. Herbert followed the flight of Mikhail Borisovich thanks to the TV project Year in Space. He even initiated the creation of an unofficial cosmonaut fan club. I really liked the reaction of my friends in America. I showed them the movie Year in Space. They watched it several times. They sat down to eat when you were talking about what you eat there. At those moments, they had dinners, lunches, because they also thought that they were eating in space. It's certainly very nice. I didn't expect such talents from myself. If this is actually so, then it is very pleasant. Then I have a goal in life, yeah. They are very good people. I didn't fly in vain. They loved you a lot. I felt yesterday, when I found out that I was going to come here, that we need to remember a good song. Ah, that's right.
Whittle above the water, oh, whittle above the water. The passage of the water is spread out. The bridegroom at the gate, oh, the bridegroom at the gate, the bridegroom at the gate, waiting for. They brought him, oh, they brought him, they brought him a black horse.
Good afternoon. You are watching Astronaut Diaries Year in Space. When we were preparing this episode of this TV project for broadcasting, It became known that the doctors gave their go-ahead for the further space training of Mikhail Kornienko. And if nothing changes, his next expedition will take place in 2019.